Available now on Blu-ray and streaming is the new erotic thriller Emmanuelle's Revenge. Remember the Emmanuelle films? They've been going off and on for 50 years now, basically. The original starred Sylvia Kristel and was this phenomenon, and it was about this woman and her journeys of passion and pleasure and excitement and eroticism and adventure and all of that. And then there were several sequels, and then they sort of started making another series with Laura Gemser that were not really connected but used the same name. And then movies with Laura Gemser that weren't even Emmanuelle films were called Emmanuelle films, even if she wasn't called Emmanuelle in the film, just to sell more Emmanuelle films. Then there were TV series, and there was an HBO series, and it's gone on and on and on. Now we've got a new one. And I was very curious to see a new one. I've seen some of the old ones, and they're fun for what they are. This is from this just in the last year, Italian, and it was very interesting. Now, you hear Emmanuelle films. Let me take a step back. The original Emmanuelle film was directed by a man, and I'm just reading the way it looks on the page. I'm pronouncing it the way it looks. It looked like his name was Just Jack, and I'm just saying, very appropriate name for the kind of films he made. He made quality films. He did The Perils of Gwendolen, did all kinds of stuff. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Emmanuelle's Revenge. So Emmanuelle's Revenge is set in the modern day, and it feels like two diverse stories, but ultimately it all comes together. And this was really well made. I was very impressed with this, actually, because I didn't expect much. I watched the trailer and I thought, oh, this looks like a Red Shoe Diaries, 50 Shades of Grey kind of thing, maybe with a twist. It's got the word revenge in it, so it's probably going to have revenge in it. And it was much better than that. First of all, this thing was gorgeously shot. I was very recently in Italy, and I'm going to be honest, the main reason I wanted to see this was to see Italy on screen again. So it's shot in and around Milan and Budapest, and those places look amazing. Great use of color, really vibrant, sharp color in this film. But you want to know how much nudity is there. There's a decent amount, but not a lot, actually. This was a surprisingly chaste Emmanuelle film. Now, the running is there, and the thematic elements are there. This is definitely a hard R or maybe NC-17 for themes, but it's not a lot of nudity, nothing really that explicit in the film, but it does have the eroticism going on the whole time. So the basic story is this. Young fashion model in Milan is romanced by this man bun, bearded businessman Smoothie. He says, hey, come to my party, and he does something there to offend her, and she leaves. He shows up with a blue rose to try to win her over. He says, we're going to take it slow. I just want to go out on a date. He whisks her away to Budapest, and they have a date, and he's like, oh, it's my birthday, there's a party. And then something happens, and we flash forward a year. Now, I'm not going to tell you the whole story here, but it is clear that something probably bad happened at that party over time. Maybe we understand something bad happened to that woman, that model, and we stopped paying attention to her, and we're following now. The film is now following. It's almost like Psycho in a way. We're now following this businessman guy who bumps into in a restaurant, literally, this woman, Emmanuelle, who is a writer, and she is a lesbian writer who is writing a book about fear, people's fears, and what they will do, how far they will go for pleasure and to avoid fear. It's a little fuzzy to me. And he keeps pursuing her, even though she's kind of taken by a lady. And eventually I'm not telling you the whole story. Eventually she says, I'll take you on as a guinea pig, and bit by bit, you'll get a little farther with me, shall we say. So eventually, and again, I'm not giving anything away, eventually the guy gets what he wants, and a whole lot more that he probably doesn't want. And therein lies the revenge. So I'm not going to tell you any more than that. So no name actors to my eye in this film. But again, if they're Italian actors or European actors, I probably wouldn't know them as well. But it's fun. This movie is like 90 minutes, which is all one of these things needs to be. It's all most movies need to be, frankly. It moves right along. It's gorgeous to look at. The people are gorgeous to look at. The eroticism is that. That's what you call something when it's not explicit. It's erotic. It's there's nudity, there's male and female stuff going on, but it's nothing that explicit, which again was a surprise for an Emmanuelle film, considering what the previous films were like. But that's fine. This is actually probably more accessible to a lot of people. The revenge element does come up and does make sense in the context of the film, and is very sweet. It had me giggling when a dirtbag gets their comeuppance. I rather enjoy it because it doesn't so often happen in real life. So the wicker chair does make a cameo in the film, which I greatly appreciate. A little nod to the original poster in the original films, and it's just, I thought it was classy and well done, really. So available now for your erotic thriller viewing pleasure on DVD and on all the streaming services, digital rentals and things like that, is Emmanuelle's Revenge.